Good day, everyone. MeteoMark here, meteorologist Mark Molnar. Great to have you here for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. It's very wintry. We got a polar vortex blasting cold air down, Arctic air plunge. We also got a winter storm across parts of the deep south. It's going to be spreading significant snowfall and ice accumulations very far south, and that's going to be propagating up towards the mid-Atlantic into the parts of the northeast as well as we head towards Monday into later Tuesday. So we'll watch for the prospect of that as well. And then as we get towards the end of the week, say the Friday, Saturday timeframe, could we actually be looking at another snow and ice event here across parts of the south, the same areas that just got it, and then making a beeline up the mid-Atlantic, the northeast? Could this actually become a big coastal system spreading heavy snow into parts of the mid-Atlantic and the northeast just in time for Friday and Saturday? Let's get into it. All right, and snowfall here across parts of the deep south into Tennessee. We could be looking at a solid 6 to 10 inches in some of these purple zones, a general 4 to 7 inches right outside this. So we're looking at significant snow. And later on this week, yeah, we could be looking at more snow piling on top of these areas. I'll have all the details further in the video here. And here's our European run. There it is. Very similar snowfall totals with another storm later in the week. And if we take a look at our system here into the northeast, Tuesday's system, a general 1 to 3 inches. But look at that later on in the week. There is that Friday into Saturday system. We could be looking at a whopping 6 to 12 inches of snow across these areas. Could this be coastal areas chance? Finally, for some significant accumulations. And also showing up very readily here on the GFS, 1 to 3 inches here with our Tuesday system, a little bit more around the nation's capital. But look at as we head towards Friday into Saturday, we could be looking at those heavy snowfall accumulations, coastal areas and interior areas as well. And ice accumulations are going to be a big story here across parts of Texas, northern Louisiana, and heading through southern Arkansas and Mississippi. Look at that. Some areas could see a 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch, with some areas approaching a 1/4 to 1/3 of an inch of ice. Our HRRR future radar, this is what I'm going to start off with, then I'm going to transition over towards the European and the GFS model. You can see snowfall, burst of heavier snow here across much of northern and central Arkansas over towards Tennessee here. The icing is going to occur here in much of eastern and central Texas, all the way down into parts of the deep south here. We're going to have to watch out for the prospect of ice. There is winter storm warnings and winter weather advisories in effect. The bigger snowfall accumulation will occur much of Tennessee here, northeastern Arkansas, especially eastern Tennessee. We're going to watch for the prospect of many areas approaching at or above 6 inches in some of these, especially higher elevations. But look at this. As we get towards 2 a.m. on Monday morning, look at the ice even redeveloping back towards San Antonio, Austin, just shy here of Dallas, Shreveport. And look at the snow continuing across parts of northern Mississippi, Alabama, and then into eastern Tennessee. And then a little bit of snow up here into parts of Virginia, Washington, D.C., and eventually here the mid-Atlantic. But this is not going to go coastal on us. This is going to be mainly a deep south winter storm. Snow continuing here across Tennessee, parts of northern Mississippi and Alabama. Ice continuing. This is going to be a big concern in these areas. Watch out for icing. That is almost impossible to drive in. And look at this as we continue to go through 2 p.m., 3 p.m., 5 p.m. on Monday. Look at that. Another surge of snow here, Knoxville, Tennessee, and surrounding areas. Higher elevations could be looking at, some significant accumulations as well. Look at this, the ice making it all the way down into almost parts of coastal Texas here. So that's crazy to even think about here. But as we continue to go in time, we get a burst of heavier snow continuing across eastern Tennessee. This is 1 a.m. Tuesday. So we're going to be piling up the snowfall accumulations here across eastern Tennessee. And we'll continue to watch for that prospect. Further to the north, we'll see a couple inches mainly out of this area as far north as the I-81 corridor of New York and Pennsylvania as we get towards 7 a.m. on Tuesday morning. All right, so we take a look at our European run here. This gives us a better idea of the generalized precipitation. You can see here across the deep south as we get through the rest of Sunday here into Monday. Here's the 15th. So look at Monday, we're still going to be dealing with that train of moisture here into parts of the deep south, eastern Tennessee, and then eventually into the Virginias here as we continue to go through Monday into early Tuesday Tuesday. You can see it gets up into parts of the Northeast here where we have that generalized 1 to 3 inches of snow. You see it does remain more of an open low pressure wave here just off the coast. So we're not going to be looking at an explosion of a low pressure system here, but we're going to be looking at an open wave that brings a generalized snowfall. Now, as we get later on in the week, I wanted to show you before I transition to the GFS precipitation depiction here. Look at, there's two pieces of energy. This is later Thursday. So we're going to be looking at another wintry round here across parts of the Deep South. That's going to combine forces. And if you notice something here, even back into Ohio, there is an inverted trough here that could focus heavy snow from Ohio all the way to parts of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. So this could get many areas all the way to the coast into significant accumulations as well. And that kind of pushes up towards the Northeast early. This is Saturday morning. So we could be looking at a very snowy early Saturday here across parts of the Northeast before the system lifts up into the Canadian Maritimes. All right, so as we take a look at the GFS model here, comparing that to the European, our precipitation depiction here, you can see as we go throughout, here it is, Sunday, the rest of Sunday, snowfall continuing to the north there. There is the moisture continuing to pile up here from Austin, Shreveport, Jackson. This is where we're going to start to see the sleet and freezing rain take hold here. This is not very good news. And as we continue throughout the early to mid-morning hours of Monday, you can see that pushing to the northeast here. So the GFS kind of keeping this a little bit further to the south. I still think we'll see some decent snowfall up in this area as well. As you can see, it is a system that doesn't have a tremendous amount of moisture with it, but Eastern Tennessee looks like it will get the area with the highest snowfall accumulations, and I'll go over those with you momentarily. It is a quick moving system. You can see this is by 1 p.m. on Monday here, moving still across parts of the Deep South, so icing continuing here from northern Louisiana, southern part of Arkansas, all the way over to northern Mississippi and Alabama here. And Eastern Tennessee, the mountains of western North Carolina here getting in on the act of some snowfall. Even a burst of heavier snow potentially here across central and southern Virginia. So that's pretty interesting. Ice continuing here 4 p.m. on Monday here. And look at this. We do get maybe some snowfall here around the nation's capital, just north of Richmond, maybe eastern Pennsylvania as well. We're going to get, potentially in this area, maybe up to 1 inch or 2, maybe 3 inches locally higher in some of those higher elevations. So it's something we'll have to keep an eye on. It does not look like it's going to blow up into a major nor'easter like the models were predicting last week. So it remains a pretty weak low pressure system. Nevertheless, we'll have some snow showers around, maybe up to 1 inch or 2, maybe 3 inches in some of those higher elevations. You can see some lake effect, a little bit of lake response on some of those west-southwest winds continuing on into Wednesday here, later Tuesday into Wednesday. And then we get our next system here. This is the energy I was talking about that could develop into a potential coastal system for Friday and Saturday. This looks a little bit further to the north than our system, say early in the week here. But look at, this could be targeting Tennessee, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, again, northern Georgia, with some snowfall here and some ice. And look at that. That could be some accumulating snow as we head throughout. This is the 18th into the 19th here. So this is 10 p.m. on the 18th. Let me see if I can, there we go, freeze frame at 4 a.m. on the 19th. So essentially this is Friday morning. We could have some snowfall, accumulating snowfall from eastern Kentucky all the way to North Georgia, eastern Tennessee. So getting more snow here. This is the typical El Nino pattern here as we continue to go out in time. And look at this. This starts to try to consolidate into a coastal low here. So this is something we're going to have to keep an eye on. Is this going to blow up into something? Could we have significant accumulations even all the way to the coast? So the I-81 corridor of New York and Pennsylvania all the way to the coastline, could we be seeing a significant snowstorm out of this? It's quite potential. And this starts to blast up into a 988 millibar low pressure system by Saturday. Friday night and Saturday towards the end of the week. And now it is a fast mover. Look at New Brunswick, Nova Scotia. This could get you in on some very heavy snows and wind as well. And look how this blasts up into a massive low pressure system towards Newfoundland there. And look at that. So high pressure just building in behind it, but we're going to continue to start lining up these area of low pressures here as energy ejects out of the Four Corners region. Texas is going to be the battleground here, and look at that. That one's a little bit further to the north as we get towards the 23rd. A lot can change between now and then, and it looks like by the 24th we could have a massive warming trend here across much of the east, although the northern periphery of this could be wintry precipitation. So it is this time of year. We could have multiple chances of winter storms here, even for coastal areas. All right, so your snowfall here across the area of North America. You can see there's our first system here with the European model, pushing a lot of snow up from the Tennessee Valley here, the deep south, all the way up the East Coast. It does get weaker as it approaches the East Coast, but there's our system potentially as we look towards, Friday into Saturday timeframe. Look at that. Yeah, that could be some significant coastal and interior areas as well, 6 to 10 inches. So here we go, taking a look at snowfall amounts here from the deep south, northern Mississippi, Alabama, eastern Tennessee. That is in further detail from what I showed you earlier in the video. That is where you're going to see the most snowfall, eastern Tennessee, upwards of 6 to 10 inches in some of these areas. A general 4 to 7 here, though, into parts of the, the lighter blue areas, and that's going to stretch up into parts of eastern West Virginia as well. Then as we take a look at the GFS here, there it is. I am pretty much, thinking the GFS has got this right on target here. A lot of areas here, especially the higher elevations, getting up for 6 to 10, a general 4 to 7 inch, and a lot of other areas here. But that if we take the end of the week, look at what we pile right on top of it. Yeah, that's going to be another system that takes a very similar storm track here, another warning criteria potential. And as we take a look up here into the northeast, there it is, a 1 to 3 inches as we get into later Monday night into Tuesday. Most of these areas, nation's capital, could be closer to 3 inches with a burst of heavier snow here, but there it is. Your chance comes better later on in the week. There it is, Friday into Saturday morning. Yeah, this is what we're talking about here. Eastern Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Long Island, could this be your shot? It may just be, as some areas may approach that 8 to 12 plus inch range. And here we are in the European model as well. The Tuesday, early Tuesday system looking like 1 to 2 inches locally, higher to 3 inches. But it's the system on Friday into Saturday showing up pretty much a carbon copy here. Maybe it's just a tad bit further to the south. This may be New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, Long Island. This may be your chance of some significant snow. And look at this. It even piles up further back here towards the west. And I did want to make note of something here on the European model. It's picking up on this trough that I showed you earlier in the video. See this trough? It extends all the way back towards Cleveland. This could make the difference between Cleveland only getting a few inches, but look at the European model is outputting close to 13 inches of snow for this system later on in the week. That's something we got to keep a very close eye on here. Total liquid equivalent precipitation here on your European model showing, anywhere from 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch here across much of the deep south and getting into portions of, the mid-Atlantic here. Anywhere from about 1/4 inch on average up here in the northeast with that couple inches of snow Tuesday. But look at that. That's going to be that coastal system potential. We pile up. It's basically a broken record system with the potential for further development here into the northeast. Look at parts of Texas, though. That's with that system that we get towards, say, next weekend into early the following week. Florida seeing a lot of rain as well. And near to the Dunkirk area, Robert Stone here, his daughter, sending in some really beautiful snow squall video action here. Take a look at this. This is really interesting. Sunday morning as these squalls move through, you can see quite a bit in the way of whiteout action. It covered the roads. It was just enough to get, a good amount. And look at the wind there, blasting the trees around as well. The wind has been a big thing over the last several days. And as you can see, accumulating snow across the area, a quick couple inches, as you can see. Look at whiteout conditions as well. Really blanketing the area across much of New York State, Pennsylvania, parts of eastern Ohio, and then up into parts eventually of New England here. So really nice captures here. Thank you, Robert, for sending these in, and thanks to his daughter, Jewel, for capturing this really good footage here of the snow squalls moving across the area. All right, so the cold air polar vortex watch, yeah, it's pretty much a polar vortex warning. Look at this. Yeah, as we head throughout this week, it is going to be a massive cold blast all the way to the Gulf Coast here and into the parts of coastal eastern sections as well. And look at this, by the 19th and 20th, we get another surge of massively cold air here into the eastern part of North America. So this is going to support any type of low pressure action we can get. We do start to get a warming trend towards the 23rd and the 24th, though. You can see eroding a lot of this colder air back into Canada. All right, so our upper air pattern across North America, as you can see, we got a lot of troughiness as we head throughout this week. That is that polar and Arctic air mass that we have across the eastern part of North America. We have a lot of blocking going on up here in parts of Greenland as well. Look at that. That continues as we get towards next weekend. We get another big area of troughiness that's associated with that potential coastal system that heads out of the part of the south into the East Coast area. But I do warn you, for people who like snow, come that next week after that, next week, there will be high pressure building in with a warming trend. So the Canadian forecast here. Let's take a look at your winter storm outlook. You know, we'll have some snowfall over here in southwestern Canada with this system off the Pacific, coastline here, the Pacific Northwest to the United States. We have a broad area of low pressure here across Hudson Bay. We will have some chances here, as I mentioned, with our big, coastal storm finally blasting up here towards the 17th. So it doesn't get going. It doesn't really give parts of the mid-Atlantic and Northeast a lot of snow, but it looks like it may clip parts of Nova Scotia, eastern New Brunswick, and especially Newfoundland here as we get towards the middle part of the week here, towards the 17th into the 18th. That blasts on to the northeast here, out to sea, and look at, by the end of the week, there's that system I was mentioning, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland here. You have the good chance of some really heavy snow here. So if this track holds, it may actually turn out to be a massive winter storm. But as we continue to go out in time here, you can see we're going to be looking at a Pacific storm here in the west. The center of Canada just looks very dry and cold with that polar vortex. And as you can see, as we continue to propagate this, maybe an Alberta-style clipper way up to the north here, but it's basically around the edges here. Western Canada, and then eventually southern Ontario and Quebec here as we head towards the last major full week. We're not looking at any major large-scale systems until we get to about the 27th here in the midsection. You see a big, strong Alberta Clipper-style system here making its presence known, with high pressure building into the eastern provinces. And snowfall across Canada. It's going to be southeast Canada that gets the most snowfall here. We're going to be seeing 20 to as much as 40 centimeters of snowfall here. That's going to be quite a bit in the way of snowfall. New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, Newfoundland here. West coast of Canada here, anywhere from 9 to about 15 centimeters here, much of up towards Hudson Bay as well. But there's a lot of areas here in Canada that will not be seeing any snow, at least through the next week. And look at, we pile more snow up here on both coasts of Canada. All right, so your tropical update here across the Caribbean and Gulf, Atlantic here, Caribbean islands, Central America. Did not want to leave you guys out. There actually is not a whole lot to talk about. You have to go to the northern Bahamas here to get into some action towards the 16th and the 17th with this system moving off the coastline. You can see dragging a cold front. It actually makes its way down here into Central America towards Belize, maybe northern Honduras, Cayman Islands, western tip of Cuba, through the Florida Keys and up through the northern Bahamas. That kind of washes out as we head towards the 18th and the 19th. We have a few showers developing around the 20th for Jamaica and parts of the northern Lesser Antilles towards the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic. You can see what we got going on here towards the 22nd is a big old frontal boundary kind of stalling out here across the northern Caribbean. That could bring some showers and thunderstorm action from Belize all the way up through Jamaica here, Hispaniola, and north of Puerto Rico. So as we continue in time, is there any large-scale areas? Well, look at this. We might have some big blob of moisture here as we get towards the 22nd from the Yucatan Peninsula southward to Central America, Cayman Islands, and Jamaica. And that kind of feeds into some tropical moisture across the Gulf here. This is a pretty large-scale system, but it does look like an area that will not be wintry precipitation here in the lower 48. But nevertheless, look at that. It looks pretty nice here across the Caribbean. All right, so your Caribbean rainfall outlook here. Yeah, through Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, you could see upwards of 10 millimeters here through Monday and Tuesday. That's not more than, say, a quarter to a half an inch. And look at that. That stalled out frontal boundary as we get through the northern Bahamas, parts of the northern Yucatan, western tip of Cuba. Through late week here, we could be looking at anywhere from about 35 to 50 millimeters. That'll get us up towards about an inch to maybe an inch and a quarter here. And as we get towards the eastern Caribbean, much of the Caribbean islands here to the eastern Bahamas, you can see as we head through Tuesday and Wednesday, we have a little bit of tropical moisture moving through much of the Lesser Antilles here. Nothing more than 13 to 26 millimeters, however. Trinidad, Tobago, you might see upwards, beyond this point, but nothing more than, say, a half an inch of rain. Even towards Puerto Rico, we'll see mainly your eastern areas, the same amounts here. Look at this rain hole here in the southeastern Bahamas. Almost pretty much no rain. It is your dry season. And don't go anywhere. I just have more weather here in just a moment. Check out my affiliate here, these awesome maps. Have a look at this.
I am proud to announce that I am now an affiliate with Trilogy Maps. TrilogyMaps.com, bringing you the most digital, customizable maps found nowhere else on the internet. These maps are simply stunning. It's an advanced layering system that makes these maps great for making forecast maps with ease or any other maps that you would like to display important information on. The resolution on these maps is simply amazing. From the detail of everything here in the States, and you can also create stunning, digital, professional layered maps from also across the entire world. And don't forget, in checkout, the discount code option, use my code, MeteoMark, hit apply, and you will get 20% off your order. So if you want the most professional, customizable, and affordable weather maps found nowhere else on the internet, look no further than TrilogyMaps.com. Link in the description down below along with your discount code.
All right, so take a look at temperatures. This is going to be the big headline as we go throughout the next several days. Look at this big Arctic plunge well into Texas, Tennessee. That's going to support that snow and ice continuing on into Monday as well. But even the Northeast, look at the Ohio Valley stuck down in the teens, below zero throughout most of the northern plains and the Midwest. It's only the Gulf Coast areas eastward, central Gulf Coast eastward, that's holding on to some warmer temperatures in the 60s and 70s. But look at that. That even gets eroded away. 40 in New Orleans by Tuesday. Look at these single digits pushing into places like northwest Ohio, all the way to northern Missouri, below freezing all the way down into parts of southern Texas as well. So that is pretty interesting, up into the lower 20s here into parts of the Northeast. Look at this. Yes, we start to get a warming trend here across Texas and parts of the Southeast. Still holding on to below freezing here in the Tennessee Valley, Ohio River valleys. Yeah, it's going to be a cold week throughout much of these areas. And look at this. We just start to reinforce the cold air to the north. Look at that freezing line continuing to stay across the Ohio Valley. And as we make it on into the next Friday here, this Friday, take a look at this. This is a big push of colder air, single digits again. So we're going to set ourselves up here for a colder pattern. And look at this. By Saturday, this is with that potential system. We could be looking at potentially some snowfall here in some of this colder air. So we definitely will have the cold air. Whether we have the moisture is a big question, but we can't complain that the cold air is not there for the snowfall. Extended outlook from hometown viewers, Binghamton to Scranton, Upper Susquehanna River Valley of New York and Pennsylvania. Take a look at this. It's going to be cold. Highs pretty much in the 20s all week. Lows teens and even some single digits on some of those colder nights, say like Tuesday night. So what's going to be happening Tuesday? We have that system, open wave system moving off the coastline. Very little fanfare, but we'll have 1 to 2 inches of snowfall, at least from the morning to early afternoon. It's Friday that's the interesting one. We have the potential for a coastal system, and this could actually blow up into something. We're going to keep an eye on it because all the models are showing something. 4 to 8 inches of snow, could be higher. I have a big range here. Stay tuned for that. As always, I want to thank you for joining me for this edition of MeteoMark's Weather. Join me on Facebook at MeteoMark, also at Weather Northeastern, also at Hurricane Northeastern, and also at Susquehanna Weather. Also Twitter at Weather Eastern, and you can visit me at MeteoMark.com. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to check out my winter weather outlook for 2023-24, and link in the description down below, as well as my affiliate, Trilogy Maps.